more than just the charts we'll talk about this morning. I have the document from the SEC's acknowledgement for the Ripple ETF from 21 shares and Grayscale. Well, I can show you what they said from the document. We'll look at a couple different things on the charts. XRP and more, like right now, DGB is up 4.4%, so it's outperforming the market right now. There's not much that's up. It's DGB's up a little bit. Zill's up about 1.25%. Ethereum's flat. AMP's up 0.75%. And ZBCN 2%. MXC barely up. Matic's up 2.5%. So there is a little bit of positivity here in some sectors, especially in, it seems like a lot of them, the Internet of Things sector is looking okay this morning. Not everything is doing well, but at least the Internet of Things tokens are only down about 1 to 2%, and some of them are up, as we see with DGB, about 4.5%. But there's going to be a lot to talk about. I don't think, because of the way I titled it this morning, it'll be as big of an audience because we talked about the 260 fair value gap. But it's something to pay attention to just in case we can't break out of this region. I always want to pay attention to where that inevitable drop will end up being to fill the gaps and so on and so forth. Shane, good morning to you, my friend. I appreciate you. DGB is on the move, and I appreciate the prayers. Live your dream, welcome in. 1986 Baldwin, good morning. Mandy, welcome in. Luia, good morning. Sim Racer, good morning. Brian Cruz, good morning. We'll look at H-Bar Cruz as well. Gary, hope you're having a good day as well from South Africa. Says, hope you well from South Africa. Watch all your videos every day. I appreciate that. Joseph, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your set. Well, I don't know how long it's been now, but I don't think they're updating all so often. But thank you for being in Tom's Army for as many months as you've been now. Crypto Cooter, thanks for being in Tom's Army. I know at least 1 month now with the emoji badge and me being abducted bands. XRP biggest loser, appreciate you being in the army as well. Ariel, welcome in. Live your dream media. Live your dream media, welcome in. I know I've seen your name so many times and I always stumble for some reason. But I'm going to share this as well because I always forget to do it. I'm just going to hit the share button because I've been asked to do this in the past and just put live so that the audience knows in case YouTube doesn't give. So I just do the post in the community, which I guess that probably doesn't go out so much either. But a lot of stuff to talk about. XRP doesn't have to go all the way to $2.60. There are ways to avoid it, but the problem is getting rejected at $2.79. It was meant to happen. This was a short-term cup. And now if it's bullish, it should, one of two things. It could hold here, obviously. But I still think it would be much better for it to come down and fill the 4-hour fair value gap. And yes, happy, blessed Sunday to all of you. Don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And remain humble. Show humility and show grace. I feel like we need to just show grace. You know, if we show grace, good things happen. But it's a weird spot we're in right now because we really want to fill that fair value gap. Like the good news, if you fill this gap, is you don't have to come back down. And the fact that we just went down before this pump out to a very crucial level here. Let me swing this around so you can read it. The fair value gap in the monthly at $1.81, where approximately where I put the dot. It might be a little low. Oh no, I put it at 181.6. Beautiful. But that's where the fair value gap was in the monthly zone. I put $1.82 on this, but it was right around that area. So the fact that we filled it, it's a fair value gap. So when you have the trading bots and things like that, basically look at it this way. If we start at $1.10 and we go up to $1.78 real quick, and let's say we first go $1.10, $1.78, we come back down to $1.31, and then we start moving back up. Well, the fair value gap ends up being left when, let's say we broke from $1.10, at no point did we back test back down to that initial break point. So now you have Tom, some of our audience doesn't know what fair value gap is. Good. So a fair value gap now would be, let's say we start here. Let me show you on the board. It'll be a lot easier, and then I'll show you the by definition. But what I look for fair value gaps on a chart. So let's say the price action, and it'll be easy to show you on this one. So perfect. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So why even try to? So see how the price action right here? We boom, boom. We're at 260, and then we broke out. Notice how we backed down to about 268, went back up, bounced around. We've never back tested this breakout point, and now we've left a gap. It's called the fair value gap. And when the market, once you understand it's controlled by trading algorithms and trading bots, you realize they have to fill their areas of code. So to me, see how we have definitions for fair value gaps and what it means. What I consider it is just a gap in the code. So if you're looking in like the matrix or like the coding, if you're a software engineer or whatever, we've got a gap in coding. So now we've got to fill the code. And now it just comes back down. And if it's meant to continue, you have to hit these fair value gaps in some capacity. It's about 97% it lives up to it. There are gaps that are never filled in every chart, and that accounts for about 3% of the chart. But that's the exception, not the rule. The rule says we have to fill the gap. So once we got rejected at 279, that's why yesterday I said, if you watch this short, any of you, I talked about the $2.60 mark. That's why in the title today I talked about the $2.60 mark. Happy Sunday, Tom. Thank you, Mandy, for the $1.99 love. I really appreciate that. First donation of the show. Certainly not necessary, but I really appreciate it. I love when people pay it forward and show appreciation for the time I put in. Especially the members of the Tom's Army as well. So the fair value gap is after we've run out, we've not re-hit that area. And I call it a back test, like a pattern breakout or hit a support. But I just, the better way of saying, just think of it as computer code. We've got coding, we got code. See this, how we did this? We broke down, back around, and when we broke up, see how we immediately came back here? We filled that code, right? See how we came up, broke out right, where was this at? Right here, came up, came all the way back down to the breakout. We filled the coding. You know, we're doing it. We came down, broke up, back down, around, even came back through. This is what you want to do. Came around, came up, came back. You know, we're trying to do it in every little region, but we were unable to do it right here. So that's what that's how I think would be the easiest way to look at it. Now, we can go by standard definition. Of course we can. But I'll show you the way I look at it. Because I taught myself how to do this. And at first, I didn't know what any of it was, so I didn't even know what to look up. I didn't know it was a fair value gap. I just kept seeing things on the chart that, like I was saying, looking at it as a computer code or like an anomaly phase, like we've never gone back to that area. And I started to notice in past parts of patterns when I first started teaching myself analysis, technical analysis, and trying to deep dive it, I would notice in patterns where I was getting screwed over a lot is the fact that I wasn't able it never came back to those areas. Now, there are also, if you look at it from a stock point of view, where you sometimes have closing prices on Friday, and then let's say you have after hours trading and things like that. Well, sometimes in the morning, on Monday morning, you've created a gap as well because you have the closing price, the aftermarket price, and then when it comes back online, sometimes you come back and fill the gap, and then it immediately goes back up to where you've seen in the after hours, only because you've got the seller. It's just a weird thing. But in crypto, I look at it a little bit different because the market never closes. It's in real time. So, market closed Monday. What is Monday? I know the kids' schools are closed this week for midwinter break. What is on Monday? I'm waiting on DGB to go crazy, and then, I want to read that. Crazy, and then taking the profit and dumping into XRP healthcare. It's so undervalued and super. Oh, I know. The XRP health. Oh, yeah, President's Day. That's right. Oh, fuck. So we're going to have a weird day here. So we've got plenty of time to go down to this gap. Now I think it's going to happen no matter what. Probably. So anyhow, a fair value gap is a brief inconsistency between a stock's current price and its fair value price, usually caused by a temporary imbalance between buyers and sellers. Playing temporary imbalance between buyers and sellers, playing the gap requires tracking a stock price to pinpoint the right moment to buy or sell. And, you know, that's why that 279 area on rejection, if somebody was a swing trader in XRP, that was our sell area in the short term before it came down to fill the gap. That's why I have those targets on there. But in a stock, it's different. In an equity, it's different. Like, it's different because of the closing and opening prices. We don't have that as in relation as far as, oh, the market closes and you can't do anything for a set period of days. Like the stock market now is going to be closed for like 72 hours or so. So, you know, from the time it closed on Friday. So that's a significant amount of time. But from a standpoint of when I talk about an FVG in crypto, I'm looking at how we ran out of this area right here. And then I'll do the intro, I promise. But I'm looking at how we ran out of the area here. And then we came up. We never came back down and tested that gap that we've created. So now it's a fair value gap. You're creating a gap in that area. So now the only way to fill it is to come down here. And then you can do what you got to do if you're meant to break out of the area. But if it doesn't go up, here, and it breaks down, or I mean, if it went up and doesn't back test here, now you've got the lingering gap on the board. And remember, it would be no different than how we had this fair value gap down here. We broke up. We never came back down. And even though we went all the way up to 340, what happened? We had to come down to where? The gap. The gap. See it right here? We had to come to the gap. See right here how we went up? This is a perfect example. And this is why I was mad when we initially broke out. See this? We broke out. We never came back here, right? And if you go farther back, when we first broke out here, we came down to like $1.87. For some reason, when it went up here, it never came all the way. I came close. Actually, you know what? It came here. It was when it went here. When we broke up here, for some reason, we never came back until we came here, and then we came through the whole area. So we filled that entire area. But then it's the same thing here. Like, I would be mad if it went up here to $3.20 before it came down to 260, because then I would be scared that it's going to die. And then we have to come back down before it can be revived again. You know, you don't want to see that. I want to see it fill these gaps first. Use it as the energy to get out of here. That's what I want. And the other thing I've noticed, and it sucks, is even if you hit the gap, there's no guarantee that that's the hold point, because what did we do? What did we do? From right here, out of this pattern consolidation, we just never back tested it. So now you leave it open to the fact that, well, you can come all the way back down here as an overzealous sell-off and back test this area at $2.44, which would suck. And it would probably be a quick wick if it was meant to hold, but that's what's happening. How many people in this army and the army are holding through this run? Okay, so there's two different scenarios, and it doesn't mean you're holding any less. If we have to do what we did in 2021 and sell a cycle top and wait 2 years to buy the cycle low, I'm going to do it again. There's zero question about that. Because my goal is going to be to go from 6 to 7 figures by doing just that with my other tokens, or maybe not. Well, yeah, it would be. If a cycle comes to an end, I will full sale liquidate just like I did in 21, and I won't have anything except swing trades for 2 years if it takes that long. And then we'll redo it again in 27 or 28, just like we're doing now. And it would suck, but I'll be here every day. Now, there's going to be opportunity because we're going to be able to swing it. So, you know, we made a lot. I made more money, believe it or not, in 2022 and 3 than I made in 2021's bull market because I understood crypto more. So I was able to see where the fear and greed was. I was able to see the gaps. I was able to see where we were oversold. And I was able to take advantage of one big run with XRP in the bear market where we bought at 28.5 cents and we sold at 44. And then we started doing it with the other tokens as we flipped from XRP to XLM to XLM to DGB to DGB to ZIL to ZIL to HBAR to HBAR to Algo to, you know, and it started being a repetitive thing. And then we hit the crazy move on AMP that I'll never forget. And I wish I would have put more, but it was only like $800 or $1,000 in that trade. And one day later, it went up 315%. Literally, we did the live. We bought. It was a FOMO Friday. It was either a FOMO Friday or no, it was Winning Wednesdays. We bought the AMP, and the next day it was unbelievable. And then one day I was able to flip out like $3,000. And then it just started a snowball. And we started getting into the other ones. H-bar we ended up buying, and then it went up like 3x. And it ended up being a pretty cool thing in the bear market. But then we had to sit again. Then we were just trying to accumulate. And those are the kind of things. Yeah, I know that's the problem, Messi. I'm trying to will it to go down to that 260 gap so badly. Because at a 97% clip, they fill. So, but anyhow, let me do the intro. Kyle Kupiak, Cape Cod Kyle, he is absolutely in Tom's army. For some reason, for his, sometimes it doesn't show. But as you guys see, it's frozen. Julie, my army members are frozen in time.
Why?
Ever since the new year, YouTube has not been upgrading the months.
Huh.
Yeah. So people are stuck.
We're frozen.
Yeah, it sucks.
We're stuck in a loop.
So, let me do the intro real quick. Good morning. 11:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday. It's Friday, I wish. Sunday, February 16th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan, which is a great state. We got another about 3 inches of snow, so I get to go shovel again. We got about 4.5, 5 inches initially. A couple days ago. Then yesterday we got about 3 inches more, or 2 inches more. So we've got about, I don't know, between 7 and 9 inches on the ground now. But we only had like 13 inches this whole winter before these last week. So it's definitely saved it. Been to Bay City one time. Nice area to fish. I used to go there when I was younger to fish. Harmony One and Atom Cosmos look like good buys. We know about the Cosmos, and it's been a long time since we've talked about Harmony One. There was a time when we may have talked about that a little bit more, but that was in prior market cycles. The new windows are good, honestly, T-Dog. They're good. We got the black, it's black on the outside, so it's got like the tint, and I elected for the higher grade window, so the premium window, so it was a little more expensive, a few $1,000s more, but I elected for the top quality. So I've decided I'm just going to pay the extra money and get the better stuff. Especially when I buy appliances and stuff. I've been buying commercial grade water, my water heater and stuff. They're commercial grade now. So I figure if it can handle it in a restaurant or a business, it can handle it in my tiny little 1,200 square foot house. So. But the beauty of having a smaller house is you can make it look so much nicer because it's not as big. And I can do the outside after, which I'm really looking forward to. The ultimate goal is to add a sunroom on the outside, so it'll add a couple hundred square feet just by being strategic. It's going to be a little expensive, but nothing some good trading can't get us to. Goals. Goals, exactly. We're putting it out there for future prospects. So, a couple of things I want to show that's in my email real quick. 2 things, actually. One, I think it's important that we actually read through this. So, as we all know, so this is Securities and Exchange Commission, February 14th, 2025. And this is just a small bit of it that I could find. But self-regulatory organizations, CBOE, blah, 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 exchange, notice of filing a proposed rule change as modified amendment number 1 to list and trade shares of the 21 shares core XRP trust under BZX rule 14.11 C4 commodity-based trust shares. Has anybody seen this? And out of curiosity, how many of you remember when I would say that they would start ruling XRP with the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission? That's exactly what's happening here. It's becoming commodity-based. It's being self-classified as more of a commodity here, which means the CFTC actually has overriding power, if that's the case, and not the Securities and Exchange Commission. There's a big difference here. It goes from security to commodity. So let's just read through this. Pursuant to Section 19B1 of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, the Act and Rule 19B-4, thereunder notice is hereby given that on February 6, 2025, CBOE BCX Exchange Inc., the exchange or BCX filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Commission a proposed rule change to list and trade shares of the 21 shares core XRP trust under BZX Rule 14.1, blah, blah, blah. Commodity-based trust shares. So they're basing it as a commodity. So this is going to be an XRP ETF, basically, or a trust, but it's a commodity-based trust. That means the CFTC is going to have overriding power. If this is true, it's over. Like it's going to be thrown out. Securities and Exchange Commission has no overriding reach on a commodity. I've said this in the past, and now it's becoming real. This makes it real. This is real. They're saying it's a commodity-based trust share. That's a lot different. On February 12, 2025, the exchange filed amendment number 1 to the proposed rule change, which replaced and superseded the original filing in its entirety. The proposed rule change is modified by amendment number 1 is as described in item 1, 2, and 3 below, which items have been prepared by the exchange. The commission is publishing this notice to solicit comments on the proposed rule change as modified by amendment number 1 from interested persons. Self-regulatory organization statement of the terms of substance of the proposed rule change. CBOE BZX Exchange Inc., BZX or the exchange, is filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, Commissioner SEC, a proposed rule change to list and trade shares of the 21 shares core XRP trust, the trust, under BZX Rule 14.11. Well, they're not getting away with it this easy. We're going to look up exactly what that rule is real quick. Under BZX Rule 14.11, what is that? C4, commodity-based trust shares. They're trying to make this a commodity. I'm telling you guys, this was the play the whole time. The CFTC was going to have overriding power. That's why it was never a security. And I said that years ago, and I've been saying it. It's going to be ruled on by the Commodities Future Trading Commission. And this is, they want to make it a commodity-based trust. So it would be in line like gold, silver, but not a store of value in the sense, but they want to classify it as a commodity. If that's the case on taxes, when you do your taxes, you do it as a commodity and not a crypto. It's a completely different ballpark. And they're going to dig their own grave here. They're going to dig their own case here, or their grave here when it comes to trying to charge you as a crypto. That's why you cannot do not do your taxes this year. Put it on a extension like I am and wait until August. Isn't it August 15th, Julie? Or is it October 15th when you do an extension?
October.
Yeah, so if you do an extension, it's October 15th. Do the extension this year. I'm filling out my taxes as normal right now as I get like my stuff from YouTube and any kind of income I've had. But as far as putting like the crypto stuff, I'm not doing anything and I'm filing an extension until October 15th. You have to. You have to.
But you're not.
I'm not a financial advisor, but we've got to see how these rule changes go in effect and see if this actually, because the worst thing we could do is pay it as a crypto if it's a commodity. And that's the other thing. They might owe in the future, and this is what I'm saying. There's going to be a big lawsuit taken out in the future, and there's already been talks of it. And they may have to reimburse a lot of money for people who were charged as a crypto for XRP if it's really a commodity. Now, we're too broke to be able to be part of that. Some of my audience are millionaires. But if you don't have, I don't have enough money to be part of that because I would have to use all of my underlying capital, and that's not going to happen. But someone's going to make bank off of this if this happens. Oh, yeah. It's going to be big. This could be big, but we got to see what this rule is. BCX Rule 14.11. BCX. What was it, Julie? BCX Rule. BZX Rule 14.1. So BZX rule 14.1 11E4. Ooh. Let's see if it even has anything. What is it again? Commodity. See, it's going to be so hard for us to find it on Google. That's what sucks. The trust was formed as a Delaware statutory trust on June 3rd, 2024, and is operated as a grantor trust for U.S. federal tax purposes. The trust has no fixed termination date. That sounds like to me that we already know it can never be listed as a security. I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on here. Like, they really are going to make it a commodity. I already knew this in 2021. That's why I always talk about the CFTC. I'm very familiar with commodities. So I know the difference between commodities and crypto. XRP is not technically a commodity. They don't know where to put it. But they're trying to make Bitcoin and crypto like the new gold and silver. There's a reason for that, because at some point they're going to revalue gold, and it would be the simplest thing they could do to monetize the debt. Like, they could literally make gold and make it the gold standard again, and they could revalue gold, and then our national debt would disappear overnight. That's the other thing that nobody talks about. But I think that would be more likely than having the entire freaking what the hell's going on here? What is this? Why'd I put that on? I'd rather have my regular background and not. Wow. I forgot we're on T's portfolio, so I have to watch commercials. I guess I just had to go back and come back. I do not believe so, but agree. Does Tom's Army have a place to communicate other than YouTube? Actually, we have a Telegram. We have a Telegram that people can go into that I started to only hand it out when people were in Tom's Army. But, you know, it is a place people communicate, but it did get overrun when I was letting it in for everybody, just like the Discord did at one time. But slowly but surely, I'm starting to get the word back out about that because it's become a good group in there, and I don't want it to be ruined. But yeah, so actually there is a place, and in the future I'll talk more about it. UB2B made some sweet art in there. Oh, he did. He did. And speaking of UB2B, oh, we showed it before, but he was our meme, well, still is our meme genius. He had a little one though, so it ended up a lot of his time got taken too. Tom's Army should be XRP Army. No, XRP Army's general. Tom's Army is because I'm Tom. It's my army. That was something, you know, that's just something that's universal. It's Tom. Tom is the general, exactly. So anti-communist, welcome in, and thank you for those got some pretty nice emails you sent about certain things. For my son. But if we look at this in the capacity, if it doesn't break down, the reason why it could hold, which we don't want it to, FYI, and 0% chance I want this pattern to hold right now. And we talked about the fair value gap, so don't get mad at me, you know, and be like, oh, this guy hates XRP. He's the bearish loser. Because some people say it, which is fine. Which I can understand it, because if I was holding something and the influencer saying, let's go down 17 cents or 12 cents, I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? He holds XRP. Why would he want it to go down? Because I understand the bigger consequence here. We need to fill that damn gap. We need to fill the gap. So, info line. Hey, where's my info? So, info. Okay, I guess that's not the right one. Oh, no, that was for the amount of the move. Duh. Forgot they replaced all of this. Let's see. There's the arrow. Ooh, a note. We'll put it out there. ZBCN is working on the Hank Hill ass. We've got a few of them that are working on that. But ZBCN is almost down to our 1 cent back test. It almost hit. or 1 cent, 001. Duh. So please hit the damn FVG at 260. Will be nice. Thank you. We'll put a smiley face too, and maybe it'll happen. Because the implications if this doesn't happen means that no matter how high we go, we're always going to have to worry about this stupid area. So why not just come down here now? Now, the problem is we could have a little bull flag here, a little bit of a flag here. I guess a pennant flag, because right now we've got lower highs and higher lows. So let's just break this real quick. Go down to 260. That's what I want to do. Because we created a little cup here. See, we created a little cup. Nice handle, even if you come down here as well. You know, we could start to build a handle. And then, then we would come up here. So if we fill this gap, the next move, if we hold, would be $2.60. So that's what I want to do. So on this Sunday or Monday, in the thinly traded markets, because of President's Day on Monday that I forgot about, that somebody so nicely pointed out, I would like this to fill out. We don't have a lot of optics here in the market this week until we get back into the trading week on Tuesday. So I would like it to fill this out. I would like it to take care of this problem. And then we don't have to ever talk about that fair value gap at this level again. But right now it's going to dominate our talking points because we've got to fill it. We have to fill it. So would you rather it come right back up to 278 and then come back down and fall out, or just get it over with right now? I think we just need to get it over with. So let's just get it over with here, and then we can start moving on and out. But until we do, there's always that optic that we're going to have to come back down. So if you're watching this, we want to hit the gap. That's it. We want to hit the gap. So we'll keep this in our focus. Whoops. But I want to hit the gap. We might not hit the gap because that could be a little pennant flag because we have lower highs and higher lows, or it could just be premature because it hasn't broke down yet, which is what I'm rooting for. Don't shoot the messenger, you know, just understand the info I'm trying to share. So a 4.7% drop is worth so much more than losing 4.7% temporarily. And then if it's meant to not hold, well, at least we know now, but that's where it should hold if we hit that gap. So, and then it would be a nice little short-term cup and handle there too. So, but it's still within a broadening wedge and all this other stuff. So we still got stuff to do. And small symmetrical triangle, I believe, is formed. And we never broke above. So still well within this range. Still well within the range. Hey, Tom, what chart system do you use? I mean, I'm on TradingView, and I just set it up in the Heiken Ashi. The only thing that I ever put on is the EMA 20, 50, 100, 200, so I can see where the technical traders and like where the momentum's at on a certain asset based on the trading. And then I like to have the volume on. That's all I ever put on. And then outside of that, I mean, that's my system.
You have the heat maps.
Yeah, but that's not on the chart. I use like the heat liquidation maps, but you have to go on Google for that. So and then I accompany it with like, I like to use the, well, I'll look at the crypto. I do not pay for TradingView, no. It's the basic. I always wanted to do only the basic because then everybody who's watching can do the exact same thing, no matter the size of wallet. Plus, when I first started trading, I didn't have money to pay for the trading app. So, you know, I'm like, I'm going to use it for what it is. And plus,
You don't even have a real phone.
so exactly. I don't even pay for a phone line. I use the second line because I'll be damned if I pay them. I mean, I pay for Julie and the kids, but I will not pay for a phone for myself. I won't. I have a nice phone that I just pay off, and it's you know, they're jailbroken or whatever. They're unlocked, so I don't have to get it from a carrier. But I stopped that like what 4 years ago, Julie.
Because they went injured.
Yeah, when I redid my license, or when I redid my phone plan. For some reason, they wanted me to send in like all this verification. I said, I'm not sending you my license to get a new phone. I've been part of your company for 10 fucking years. I'm sorry, sir. This is the new rule. I'm like, all right, I cancel my service. Like, you're going to cancel your phone over this? I'm like, yep. And I haven't looked back. I refuse to go. They've called me so many times. And then I switched Julie's service. And yeah, so now I just have the second line. It's so weird. but it works. So I basically just created a fake phone number, and I've been using it for what, 5 years? So
Since we lived here.
yep, since 2021. Since before I started YouTube, right before I started YouTube. Let's see. So then I use this. So if anybody doesn't know, this is on CoinGlass. You go to the liquidation maps, and then you can go through every token. Well, most tokens. But like for XRP, we can see the liquidation. And the cool thing about this map, in the shorter time frames, you can see a little bit of green. But when you look in the monthly, you can see where it's dominating. We can see where this is dominating. Oh, we're going to look at DGB, believe me. I like to get through XRP because it's going to be most of my talking points because I'm XRP Future Millionaire. So sometimes it'll take time. But if I knock it out for the first 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes, then we can look around for the last 15 minutes and go all around crypto, which I really like to do. So we do have some small liquidation down here. Well, not small, but it's smaller areas that we've already come through to take before. So now it looks like we're going to come up here. If you look at this, it's pretty incredible. Just from, look at right here what we built even. $2.83, there's 345 million. Look how much there is just above us. And then look at when we come up here. When you start to look at how much liquidation there's like 10, 15 trillion. I've never seen this. It's like $trillion in short liquidations on XRP. If we come up to these prices, like look how $3.23, there's $544 billion. If you don't know what that means that if you're taking a short, not a 1x trade and not a stop loss gets hit. Let's say you have a 2x or above. It just depends where you bought. But $544.16 billion is set to be liquidated on combined short traders of all different leverage sizes, from anywhere from 2 to 150x, let's say. Obviously, the 150x wouldn't be registered here, but they could have bought it way up there. And now as it comes back through, that's where it would knock them out. So that would be the amount that gets knocked out at 323. There is no way we're not going back up there. And then furthermore, 339, 505 billion, 343, 461, 351, still 219 billion, 364, 144 billion. Then it gets a little scarce. But you're telling me they're not going to come up there? I highly say yes, they will. Because when we were up here, even though we had this small liquidation up here, and it was a lot still, we said, oh shit, there was so much down here. We're like, they're going to come hammer the long traders before they take out the shorts. Does anybody remember that play out when we called that? We didn't know how far it would go. The community called it based on this. I didn't call it. We're just calling what we're seeing. So again, we're calling what we're seeing. Sure, you could take this out, but there's so much more up here. So I remember saying the oh shit moment, like, we could sell, but what's the point? But it was just the all shit moment. So we decided to look for deals and other assets because we already hold our XRP from 34 cents. So that's how we found, because of Shane, in this same downturn, he talked about ZBCN. So we got on board there and it ended up railing about 70%. It was great. And then another one, MXC is one that I've been really, really tugging at with my audience here in the last week or so because it hit a new low, all-time low, and it's only got a couple 100 million tokens left to be circulated, and it's only at 2.66 billion in circulation and total circulating supply, and there's 2.44 billion. It's an Internet of Things token, and it's, in my opinion, it's more of a mainframe token like IOTA because it has connectability, not just with like digital ID and smart cities and smartphones and smart cars and smart roads, but it can actually connect within an application from traditional finance into the smart finance, which is so incredibly crazy. That means it might be able to connect the future of AI with the standard device. So if it could be the merger, like there's certain one of these applicators that are mergers, and that's, I think, the best way to describe it. They could technically merge a non-AI device to help it still be it's so creepy when you think about it. But anyhow, that's why those are important tokens, and it's so fucking it's so cheap. The target for XRP in this cycle, it's remained the same, $5.49. That was the target out of the descending wedge, and it's also made the same targets out of this broadening wedge is at 549 roughly that it's formed now. And when it looked like a pennant flag that ended up forming into a broadening wedge, that same target was also $5.39. So that $5.40 area is strong. So I choose the lower of the three. So I said $5.40 is where I would look at, but 549 is the technical. And then the biggest potential would be $6.72 to $6.79 if it played 100% true and played the entirety of a measured move from the beginning. That it doesn't have to, but that would be, in my opinion, if it hits there, we're overachieving. I think we'd be underachieving with anything this cycle less than $5.49. But as all good cycles, we would have to, and this is what I want you to remember. If we go to $5.49, there's going to be some kind of back test because we were going to shoot through all-time highs, and then you're going to have a level of liquidity that's going to end up bouncing around. But what if this is the time for XRP where the floor is lifted, and instead of doing what it does every other cycle and comes back to 20, 30, 40 cents, or 10, 20, 30 cents, what if this cycle, the floor right now, if we made that push to 549, what if the floor ended up being $3 or $3.50? The floor was the old all-time high. So you got to remember, when you're buying and selling, you've got to have a level of understanding of what you want out of the token. It's still going to be hard for me to sell it at $5.49 because my goal is higher from what I'm seeing. But yeah, MXC is Moonchain. But no, Kryptonian, talked about a very important one for us. And Kryptonian, thank you for I seen the last couple days you sent on Cash App, $5.89 donation. So I wanted to thank you for that. That was very generous. I seen a couple of them in there, so I really appreciate it. Axelar, though, he brought us Axelar, and we charted it, and we talked about the best buy area. And the fortunate thing was, just like Shane, Kryptonian brought us this when it was on a downturn instead of an upturn, which was brilliant. So instead of telling us when it was way at the top, he started telling us when it was coming down. And I did a decisive moment here, and I charted it, and I made it out, and I said, listen, I didn't know it had ties to Ripple until Kryptonian told me to look it up. You know, I didn't know there was ties in that regard. I didn't even know what it was. It wasn't on my radar until a couple months ago. I don't even know if it's been a couple months, like a month and a half maybe. So I did due diligence, and I tried to find where it was rounding, and we thought this would be the best buy-in when it came back. We didn't know where it was going to hit, but this flat support. So I started buying it, and right now my average is about 37 cents. I didn't get the entirety of it at 32. I think the first I bought was around 41, but riding it down to 32, I was able to get about a 37-cent average. And I feel blessed with that because of the amount of the supply there is. And I have 12,579, I believe it is, tokens now. So I did my due diligence, and I think I have plenty. Hey, same to you, Kryptonian. It really does look like it's on sale. That's why when he brought it to me, there's certain ones I'm like, holy hell. And like when you look at that pattern, that doesn't look like we should be mad about it. Not just that, in the short term, we're on a descending channel, which is even better as it came to the bottom. And I've made this acclamation. If this proclamation, if it comes through this is going to be like an XRP style. I'm going to buy this all the way down. And then who knows, maybe I could have an explosive amount, but it looks like we're going to have a big blowout here back up to the top at some point. I don't think there's any reason, when you look at the amount of tokens and where it's at, that it should be this far behind XRP, if I'm being honest. So I think there's a lot of potential here. And when you look at the total supply, it's pretty insane. That's what threw me off at first. I'm like, that's it? There's only 915.8 million tokens in supply. What is it? A total supply. Oh, I should just say max supply. Because I always get confused when I'm looking at some of them because I have so much in my brain. But I knew it threw me off because when I seen that there was less than a billion total, I'm like, what? And then only 1.19 billion in totality? I couldn't believe it. Like when I see stuff like that, it's the same reason why that MXC threw me off. When I seen there was only 2.6 billion tokens in totality, 2.66 billion, and 2.44 already in circulation, I was thrown off. I did much deeper dive. When I seen this, I was like, oh my god, like that's unbelievable. And then when you start looking through its history, you could see a perfect cup starting to build. Almost looks like an inverse pattern, but it's not. It wasn't ready to pull up yet. So it just certain things catch me off guard, and this was one of them. It was one of them. I'm trying to get 10,000 XRP healthcare. Yeah, oh man, I love XRP healthcare. But see, this is where we have fun. This is where we can go around the market. We got a lot to go around, so make sure to hit that like button. 100 of you out of 208 people have hit the like button, so less than half, but still 100. You know, still 100 people. If you think XRP can get to its cycle top and break all-time highs in this cycle, hit the like button. We were at 100. Let's see how many people hit the like button by 11:50. Do you think XRP is going to break all-time highs in this cycle? You can either hit the like button or hit 222. Type 222 in the chat if you think XRP is going to break all-time highs in this cycle, which means we'd have to be over about $3.80. So that's what I'm looking at with Axelar. XRP Healthcare, beautiful pattern it's still within. And eventually, I believe this is on a massive all-time cup. And I know it came all the way down like that, but I believe it's on an all-time cup. And it's filled. Ooh, I love it. I love the 222s. I love it. I really appreciate that. Appreciate that, everybody. No, and Kryptonian never said that XCN was JP Morgan. I believe he was the one who said it wasn't JPM and corrected some people in the audience that were telling me that it was JP Morgan. So, you know, he was one of them who said it wasn't a JP Morgan token. So there you go. See, listen to the person instead of making acquisitions. I like that. I like when people can talk and be heard. So I'll go if there. Oh, there is going to be time for Algo. So I'm looking at an all-time pattern right now on XRP Healthcare. Yes, we were fortunate because I realized the extension phase it was in down here, and I brought it to the audience. Once I realized this was an extension right here, I bought it on that drop. And then by the time I did the live, it was at about 2.1 cents, and it was that same day. And I was buying it. I had like a 2.1 cent average, but I have like just over 61,000 after the staking was done. So I'm very happy about this. And I think between this and a couple others, I believe this will hit harder than XRP in my portfolio. Not because I don't like XRP, but it was price point. If I would have bought XRP at 1 cent, well, it's different. I bought this at 1.7, well, we'll just say 2 cents. And, you know, a 10x is only 20 cents. You know, going to $1 would be a 50x, which is pretty insane. And it can do it. It can do it. And it's a good deal where it's at now, to be honest with you. Like, where it's at in totality. Now, you want to maintain this uptrend until it's broken to buy as close to there as you can. But it broke down unceremoniously. But remember, the gaps, when they go up so quick, it went up from here and never filled this gap. But what did it do now? Filled the gap. This is another perfect example about these gaps. Like, it doesn't matter how high, how fast, and how beautiful it looks. If it didn't fill the gap, 97% chance that it's going to come down at some point and fill it. So, smashed out of here. All the way up to here. Had to come all the way back down here to fill the gap. Isn't that incredible? How it had to do that? Isn't that incredible when you actually look at this, how it finally filled the gap? That's incredible. It came all the way down to just under 8 cents to fill that gap. It's amazing. And to see how much it had to come down to fill the gap, it almost looked impossible, right? For some, came down 80% to fill that gap. Now, this isn't one that's easily tradable in the USA, so I just hold it, and I'm just riding it. And it's going to take time, but I'm waiting for the merger and acquisitions that are coming in about a year to see exactly what happens. Because when you get into mergers and acquisitions in this phase, you are so early in the phase that you'd be a fool to get rid of it. And yeah, it could take years and years. 50% ago would have been a better buy zone, if I'm being honest. Because we still got a bearish cross that we've got to take care of. And this could technically be a rejection zone that could bring you right back down for a 30% drop, or it could fall out. But if this is meant to hold, you want to stay on this uptrend. So the last buy zone was around 8 cents. The next one would be around 9.2, or you could be pre-running a real good buy zone at 13.5 if it gets back up and holds the initial consolidation. Right now, all we did was fill the gap, and now we're coming back up. And as long as the 200-day holds, yes, this would be probably the best buy zone area for now. That's my point on XEN. Nobody knows 100% certain what the token does. I'm not putting much money into something that is very questionable. Yeah, I don't have any money in XEN. Not because I didn't think it had potential, because we charted it out before it broke out, but because I didn't have an exchange that I trusted with it. I used to have Kraken, but I had a big issue with Kraken because they didn't send $4,000+ and it took like a month, and I thought they stole it. And I couldn't use it after that. I can't trust something that I felt like was stealing my money. And then unfortunately I got it back and it showed up, but it was only supposed to take 1 to 3 business days, and it took like 36 business days, and that's not cool. Yes, Axelar is on crypto.com and it's on BITUNIX. So what I did with Axelar is I had to put limit orders on crypto.com. Never do market orders. You'll end up paying 2 to 3% more. I see some of the criticism about crypto.com. And it's true. If you do a market order, they're going to hit you. But if you do a limit order and wait for it to fill, on average, it took about 3 to 5 hours for my Axelar orders to fill, because it had to wait for it to come down to the price I put. So just be patient if you know where it's going, and set it on our uptrends a little bit above them where you think it's got to come back down to. But like XCN, the problem is outside of the uptrending support from the cycle start, it's outside of that pattern consolidation and the uptrend, but it's on the breakout area of the overall consolidation. And as long as it doesn't fall through 2 cents, as I've said a million times, this can rally up, but it might just be a 2 back to 2.8. But if it falls through this, remember those gaps? Remember those pesky gaps we talked about? We never filled the gap from the beginning. So if you want to talk about the ultimate possible pump and dump, I've been saying it since this started pumping, and everybody thought it's because I hate the token. It's not. I don't respect the token because I don't actually know what it does. I think it was actually a scheme, but it never tested this gap from like 0.003. So my problem is that it's going to fall out possibly. Maybe it'll come up and make a big M. Maybe it'll supersede. Maybe it'll overachieve. But if it breaks down, my fear is it's going to come all the way back down here first to the 0.008, and then all the way down to that gap area, which if you're asking me, it never filled anything here. It just shot up and never came back. So, I mean, you're telling me, or I'm telling you, there's a gap way down there. If that's the case, I always tell people, when you've made profit, please, like Warren Buffett said, once you 1x, you can take profit. I don't necessarily believe in the 1x area, but if you're 3, 4, 5x up, you certainly, by my philosophy, if you listen to me, you should be buying it a little more than you want to own. And there is no excuse here. This was well, it's not anymore. Well, actually, let me go from where it broke out, because I don't want to act like it did something it didn't and get people criticizing me. I want to be truthful. But it was where's this move at? It was a substantial move. Let's just do it from here. Yeah, there we go. That's better. So a 1,200%, 12x move in a short amount of time. At some point, you got to take profit. And if you were watching my charts, the top I thought it could do, and it didn't even come close. If it would have held this, I had the first top was right where it hit, but then we created a higher one. So, I mean, at 13x, you should take 1x back, at least your money. Something. Take 6x. You got 7x to work with, so for fuck's sake. Honestly, I don't trust YouTube videos, so I need more than that. That there's, I don't want to be a dick, I don't trust YouTubers. Let me rephrase that. I don't trust YouTubers. And I'm a YouTuber, so that's kind of hypocritical. But I don't consider myself a traditional YouTuber. I'm literally just sharing my road with all of you, and some of you have chose to join since 21. And if you have, you've gone up a couple decimal points, and that's cool. And you've learned some knowledge, if anything. But I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm certainly not doing this to build a huge audience so that I can make money off of my audience. I could have did this a completely different way and had 100,000 plus followers by now. It would have been pretty easy because it's very easy to manipulate this market from a sense of giving out good vibes on something that can never possibly happen, but people will be so enthralled and so ingrained in the fact they could make so much that they'll never leave. I could have done that. I'd rather you actually make that much that you stay. And that's what's happening. More people stay. The new people end up leaving, and then they'll come back after a drop, and they'll be like, I wonder what that guy says, because he was kind of being a dick, saying it was going to go down, but I guess he wasn't a dick because it actually went down. Or he said it's going up, and it actually is going, whatever the case may be. And then they come back in the high times of volatility, like a major pump or a major dump, and then they stay around. Some people stuck around because of my commodity stuff. They're like, I couldn't give a rat's ass about your crypto because I hate crypto. Not me, but them, they're saying. But they like commodities. And they say they find it fascinating that I can navigate through both markets. And I think that's pretty cool for people to say that. Because I can navigate the markets. All right, ZBC ends up 3.78%. And we talked about the best buy yesterday because some were asking about buying it yesterday. And it was up. It was up, and we said the closer that it came, if it had to come back down to the uptrend, we talked about 001. It didn't quite get there. It got to 0010854. But when we were talking, it was up. It dropped. So, I mean, like I say, you don't want to wait exactly, but the closer it gets, the better. So, from when we talked about that, it was down about 13.9%. So, there was a much better opportunity there. Now, is it ready to push out? Could be. It's possible. But, it remains to be seen. We have this resistance over the top. I thought it was going to hit at some point. That was our play from the beginning. But as I was very transparent, I flipped out. I had 3 million tokens from 0.00078. And I flipped out 778,000. So now I have 2.22 million tokens they're non-negotiable. Those aren't going to move. But I wanted to buy a little bit more in MXC because of where it's at in the chart. And when it came back down, when I made that decision, this was down again in comparison. So ZBCN was up about 68%. And this was down 7.6% on the day, or 7.2% on the day. It had to drop down when it did it. So I flipped out a big profit into this because I believe there's an inverse head and I believe this is a steal right now. I can't even describe it. Oh my God. I almost feel like I was blessed to come across this one again because I hadn't seen it in a while. And I have my IoT list that I'll share with you guys that I just have it on CoinMarketCap, and I have it. Oh, am I being too loud?
No, he's coming.
Oh, hi, buddy. Hi. You want a snacky? I'm going to go get my son a snack. He looks like he's good. Hi, buddy. You want to get your snacky? What snacky you want? Which one? Which one you want, buddy? You want a veggie straw this morning? Or do you want...
What do you want now?
I want to look at the snack first. Everybody need these. What do you want? You want milk? You want milk? Yeah, you want the milk? You doing good? Yeah. We'll get milk. Oh, he's stacking for the money. A whole cookie? Look. There was just a package. I'm excited about my life today. Had a lot of good information. Where'd it go? Already? Charlotte, you okay? Okay. Oh, Julie, I forgot. Hold on, everybody, I'll be right back.
It's lunchtime.
Everyone make lunch?
It's lunchtime.
Julie, are there any cup noodles? I think it's just the kind you have to make on the stove. You know how to do it? You want me to start the water?
I can find them.
Oh, they should be. Julie, are they in this cupboard?
Oh, Eddie.
Do you know how to do those ones?
Yeah, I've made ramen. Actually, we could just make it in the
Yeah,
microwave.
you can.
Yeah, I know how to make
Okay.
ramen in the microwave.
Okay. If you need help, just let me know, okay? Let me turn the light on in here for you. Okay. Scarlett, if you need help, just let me know.
Do we have like a Tupperware I could put this in?
Yeah, we can put it in like use like these.
I need a microwave safe Tupperware.
These are.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk fast now. I'm gonna put this. We're gonna use the other one. These are the glasses. Here. I had the bigger one. Just gonna get a little hot under it. That's right. Unless you want to use a big bowl, but I think that should be good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here, I'm going to share this. And if you guys are really serious about Telegram and you guys really want to be a part of it, I'm just going to share it with all of you so that we can stay together and we can talk. And as long as it stays a cool community, I will be a part of it. And because I think we've come up with a lot of cool people in here now that we can share a lot of things. And I think it's the right time now. So I'm just going to share it. I'm going to open it up. And, you know, it's something. It's something that we have there. But it could be more involved now, that's for sure. Because I started something and there's 124 people in there still. I just don't talk about it. But there's a good group in there right now. And, you know, I'm not going to, like, hold any stones here. I will get rid of you if you ruin my flow. That's the bottom line. If the flow is ruined, I'm not even going to give you a warning. You're just out of there. You got to be good vibe, good spirits. You got to fit my protocol, nobody else's. My protocol is you have to have integrity and you have to treat people with respect. Otherwise, you're not welcome. That's it. That's the only protocol. It's pretty simple. So yeah, I have no problem sharing it now because I see a lot of good people talking about it. Before, it was just people who wanted to get ahead easy. So it wasn't really what I wanted. So let me do this real quick. I don't know if it's going to let you guys click. Is that going to end up being a link, though? Oh, yeah, there you go. So I'll pin it, but that is the link to the Telegram. So if you want, go for it. And let's make it a cool community because I will be much more involved if it stays the way it is. I've not interjected as much in the past months because I wanted to see it build up. But I've been more involved lately because I see we've had more people that have been able to keep it on a good path. And it's actually building into something that could be very vital if we do it the right way. It just takes time and it has to be the right moment. And it could be the right moment now. Could be the right moment. So, you know, bring in the positivity and try to help. You know, we have a lot of helpful people in there. I know Tanya's in there a lot and a lot of other people. So, let's see. Hey, Tom, what would be a good play with 5K? Oof. And I'll be happy. It says the file might be harmful. Yeah, that's because it's Telegram. And YouTube's going to give you a warning before you get off the page. That's my Telegram. I mean, that's all I can tell. It's my Telegram page. There's people in here that are in there. I'm not selling you a bill of goods. I was asked. You know, but that's what it does say. I know it does because when Julie did it initially, it said the same thing off of YouTube. A good play right now. There's several. There's several now. There's no guarantee that these are actually going to break out. Oh yeah, UB2B, welcome in, my friend. There's our meme genius in the house. I love it. Oh yeah, Kryptonian. It'll grow. It'll grow, and I'm trying to open it up to the majority. And, you know, I used to do it with Tom's Army and things like that, but then, you know, the people would join and then they would just end Tom's Army. So that I didn't want that to be the crutch to go there. I wanted it to be the people who are really into the same thing. Like, it could be something cool because we're going to have all the minds from our community. And then you don't have to just talk on YouTube. We can talk amongst ourselves outside of YouTube. You know, if there was a controversial thing, I could do it on Telegram was the theory one day. Because if we had a bunch of people in there, I could just do things in there too. And that's what I started to do on Discord, and it became its own entity. But then there was a group in 22 and 21 that ruined it. But hey, you know, now we're 3 years later. So anyhow, don't forget MXC. But while I still have time, because you guys know my son came out here, so I'm gonna have to get off soon. Plus he's getting his feeding, so I want to go pay attention. Algo is definitely a good play, especially as it's coming down. It's back testing this breakout area, and it might fall back inside of here. And the only reason I say that is because we're on this thinly traded weekend and we have an extended day. There's a real chance that this was a quick breakout and it might come back down here. It could come back down, and this is technically not meant to finish until the end of February anyhow. So it could just ride it all the way down. But I think as far as where we're at with Algo, we were here with XRP before it 10x'd. And that's where we're at right now with Algo. I call it the Hank Hill ass, but if you ever watched King of the Hill, you'll know why. But it's building these roundabouts, or the rounding now, and eventually it's going to come back up and create this W. And then in time, I know we're going to see this around $6 in the future. So if we're doing this way back here, just like we did with XRP, I want to be in Algo at 15, 20, 30 cents, not $2, $3, $5. I want to be in an XRP at 30, 40, 50 cents, not $2, $3, $4, $5. You see what I'm saying? I want to be in XLM at 8 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, not $1. I want to be in H-bar at 4 cents, you know, not waiting for it to break all the way out. I bought MXC on crypto.com. But like I said, use limit orders. Use limit orders and not market orders, and you might have to wait. Unless you just stomach the market order. Sometimes I do, depending on where the price is at. If there's a substantial drop of 15% and it wants me to pay a percent over, I'm not even going to argue with it. Because we just had a 15% drop. There's extreme volatility, and there's a chance the limit might never fill. So, see, some of you know. Oh, that's awesome. What's the most you have had on BITUNIX and for how long? Uh, like the most amount of money? I have like 30 something thousand on BITUNIX right now, and it's been there for about 6, 7 months. I can tell you the exact amount I have on there right now. Yeah, I have $32,000 plus on BITUNIX right now. But there's people that have way more than me on BITUNIX. Way more. I like BITUNIX. I like to do a lot of spot swing trading on there. Not so much leverage, but if I like, that's my amp and all this other stuff that I like. That's on BITUNIX. There's a lot of things on there, but I like crypto.com for my safety net because that's where I'm verified and that's where I have the crypto.com debit card and all this other cool stuff that I use. And it just fits my style. But you know, that's why I only promote what I use. You know, I'm not partnered with anybody. I'm not like an ambassador to any of these companies. So I literally just show what I use. So that's in the video description below and our pinned comments, or just go to my homepage. I put the links here so you can just click on. I encourage BITUNIX and crypto.com. HOTCOIN only if you have to, if you want to buy like VELO and some of the ones you can't find anywhere else. But I have my suspicion there with the leverage trading that they're kind of screwing us over when it comes to pricing. Spot's not bad at all. I actually like it. But the leverage trading is horrible. Crypto.com, and then the rest is right there. So, but I don't like to spend a lot of time talking about that. You guys will find what you need. So yeah, for algo, that's what I'm looking at. It's either going to break out right here or it's going to have to continue filling this out, which isn't uncommon. So we'll have to see if it holds the 200-day around 26 cents, which it's right near, but we'll see. We'll see there. I really like IOTA as well. It's got the Hank Hill, you know what, in the long term. This is well behind XRP as well. These are all similar, but this one had already gone up to $6.58. And the beauty of IOTA is there's only a couple million tokens, or a couple billion tokens. It's nothing crazy. So, you know, pay attention to that. And we're well over an hour, so I'm going to have to get going here. DGB, I don't know if I see a drop anymore. DGB, it's this big winding pattern as well. And it's eventually going to break out of this descending wedge that it's in. And it's looking like it's trying to right now. Like, but with the way the market is, if it drops, you would be looking at 0.05. FYI, if it goes to 0.05, I'm buying more. If DGB goes to 0.05, and there's a real strong case, well, it depends. I'll have to see where my portfolio is at by then. But if it goes down there, there's going to be at least a few 100,000 more DGB bought. And there's no way around that. That's going to happen if that's the case. So, it's crazy. I'm the richest man in Michigan, not because of wealth, but because of what I have and who I have and what I have. The community makes me a part of them. So DGB, yeah, I could see it possibly, but it depends. It could be breaking out right now. And if this is the breakout point right here, it's going to have a quick move up to 2 cents. Now, it had a nice sideways consolidation here. So we'll see because of the thinly traded weekend, but DGB's overdue. It's overdue. It's well undervalued. And if it did drop like 30% here, I think everybody should be paying attention. I'm not convinced that's going to happen, but, you know, across the market, we could see something because, you know, we like to call it rug pull weekends. So we'll see what happens. Tom needs cash. The bank manager delivers them personally. Tom is a financial genius. I think the biggest part of my financial genius is the fact that I understood the flip from traditional fiat into precious metals well before this rally. And I was doing it for years. And now, even though I don't look that much fundamentally rich, when you look at my asset holdings, I am doing better off than probably 98% of my constituent neighbors. You know, the sad truth is if you have 10 neighbors on your block, 8 of them are stressing about paycheck to paycheck. And that used to be me. And I can tell you, it's a lot more stressful when you don't have money because you can't even worry about other things. Like all your stress is based around how am I paying my bill. You can't worry about anything else. It's so weird. Like in some ways, there's not as much anxiety because it's all about money. which sucks because then you can't do anything else. But once you have the money in order, then it becomes, you realize life is not as stressful as it seems when you're broke. And that's what sucks. And it took a long time for me to get past the rat race. You know, I'm 41 and now I'm in a better spot. But until I was, especially at 30, I was screwed. 35, I was like, oh my God, where are we going to go from here? And that's when I said, I need to teach myself this. And it took a number of years. But now we're sitting here, and now what are we? From 2015 to 2025. Took about 2019 when I really started getting the hang of it. 2021 is when it all came together in crypto, because the problem in the stock market was I was so ramped up during the week, and then your mind, you'd have to shut it off on the weekend, and there was no potential. And it's like, this sucks. Certainly didn't want to do Forex because it was too much. Like, there's too many variables, too many different markets. And then when I seen crypto, I was like, oh. But I already knew about XRP because I had seen it in my, I always say my conspiracy lingo, it would pop up. And I seen the relationship, and I was like, isn't XRP just the US government? And I used to say that to people before I even knew what I was talking about. Like, oh, what are you, some kind of idiot? XRP's it's the competitor to Bitcoin. I'm like, isn't Bitcoin just a branch of the government? Oh, are you some kind of idiot? That's Nakamoto Sakiyako, or whatever everybody calls him now. Namoko, you know, they call him Nakamoto. We might as well just call him Hiroko Saki from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid. You know, like, so. my only chauffeur is Uber Lyft, because I don't drive anymore because of my eye. But Julie has a Kia. She's got her Kia. I like her car. I like hers. Her nice vehicle. Nice SUV. Well, big. But anyhow, the other thing I wanted to look at was H-bar, but I gotta go though. I apologize. It's been a long time in this live, but I want to go because my son's getting his feeding. But H-bar on this, again, they're all on these descending patterns. See how we've got this downtrending resistance? DGB's barely on the outside. Algo's barely back on the inside. H-bar's on the inside. So the bottom line here is this could come down to like 16 cents for H-bar. You know, and fill out this descending, maybe even down to 14. But this one's until March. See, end of February, beginning of March is where these patterns end. So we're looking for a big event to happen very end of February and maybe into March 1st. Do I see DGB at all-time highs this cycle? I don't ever like to put it on one cycle. I don't. If it plays out like every other cycle, yeah, it tends to make a new high. It does it every time. So you can see back here when we started in 2014, it made a high in 2017 at the end of the cycle. Sprung back down and retested the old cycle. And then in the next cycle in 2018, it made a new high, came back down and tested the old cycle. In 2021, it made a new high, came back down, tested the old cycle. Now is it going to do the same thing? If it does, I suspect you'd find yourself somewhere in the 20-cent range. You know, if it does what it's done before. So yeah, there's an argument to be made that if it does play out, I personally believe it's either going to be DGB or, it's probably going to be DGB that makes me the most money I'm ever going to make in crypto. It may be because of the size of the investment, because I've invested in DGB far more than anything else I have. Not because I don't like everything else, because it's something that I believe in, and where it's at, I think it's just something. Hey, Kryptonian, thank you for the $5.89 donation at 11:35 a.m. Wow. And then the only other thing that I've seen that I was like, this is kind of intriguing. I don't even remember where I seen this. But it did look kind of intriguing to me, because when you look at this, you had the cycle back in 2014 to 2017, and you can see how we were kind of in that consolidation, and we broke out, and we had a nice long consolidation. But right now, from 2017 to 25, it kind of looks like the same consolidation from 2013, 14 to 2017, but in a bigger consolidation now. So you see how I say, like, you make new highs and you never quite come back down? Look how we never came back down to the earlier cycle. And now since we consolidated from 2017 through 2024, we never came down back to the old cycle again. You know, so now we're making new dents in the chart. So when people say XRP never goes up, it couldn't be farther from the truth. Think about it starting at the 007s and you had it, or the 3 cents. You know, now it's the same thing. Now think of it at 35 when it's at 2 cents, you know. So when these cycles happen, it seems like we're in a massive consolidation to have a massive, massive move. Now, would 2025 measure like 2017? If it did, you know, that's where you could talk into the $100 range. But I'm not convinced that that's what's going to happen on this cycle. There's an argument to be made, though, that this could get up into the mid-teen range if it played out in its true potential. I think that's a bit embellished up to 150, because I don't think you'll ever have that same move as the early day, only because it's hard to move that much when the money's this much more. But that's an extended cycle that looks a lot like the earlier cycle, just in a much longer extension, right? From 17 to 25 compared to 14 to 17, it just looks like it's much extended, doesn't it? And it looks like we're coming to a break point. We broke out of it, because that's the pattern. If you connect it, what we showed the entire time of the wedge that it was in for a very long time. They're showing the back end of this consolidation where it broke out. But you can see from 21 how it happened, but you could back it all the way to 17 as well. But they have that exact same chart, how we were charting it, except they didn't back it all the way to 17. They did a little different. But we can see this. You know, we can see how this is playing out. So I wanted to make sure to show that. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If I missed something, I apologize, but I do have to go with my son. Have a blessed day, and hopefully I'll see you guys again later. And in the Telegram, if you guys see it, you know, at least you'll be in the Telegram too.